What's going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you with one more video response for the week. As I'm doing a video response to my Horseman brother Robbie1Kenobi's video he did sometime late last week called the Top 10 NXT Takeover Hidden Gems. So this video was referring to Robbie's top 10 hidden gems for NXT takeovers, meaning matches on NXT that were good but are not as talked about because they're overlooked by other events that may have taken place on the card. So I came up with my list for my top 10 hidden gems. Now, the thing is, though, quick disclaimer, keep in mind, I only watched NXT TakeOver. The first one I think I saw was NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. That's the first NXT TakeOver I ever saw. I have not seen any NXT TakeOvers before then. So some of my matches made a little weak because I was trying to not fully repeat Robbie's list. But I want to try to pull some fresh names in there. So I've seen all NXT takeovers from NXT TakeOver Unstoppable on, except for Respect. I saw the Iron Jill or Iron Woman match, whatever you want to call it, between Sasha and Bayley from that, but I never saw that whole pay-per-view. So I disregarded that one, and this is only my top 10 NXT TakeOver hidden gems since NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. So let's get started with this list here. My number 10 is definitely not really one that a lot of people would probably pick because personally I only picked this one because it started a non-takeover feud. Well, these two were involved in another multiple person match at TakeOver Chicago, but their feud technically started at NXT TakeOver San Antonio, and that is the Fatal 4-Way match between Asuka, Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, and Billie Kay. This was around the time where, the women's division especially was going through a little bit of a rebuilding process. It was a little too early for Ember Moon, so the only people they really had to play around with was, Aaliyah, Liv Morgan, which I haven't seen those two in a while, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, someone else shows up here and there. But this match, despite it giving three more women a shot at the main event picture in Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Nikki Cross, it did start off a good non-takeover feud between Asuka and Nikki Cross. They did have another match at NXT TakeOver Chicago, except Ruby Riott was also involved, which that match was good. I was going with that one instead of this match because I thought their match at Chicago was a little bit better. But personally, this match would be forgotten about because it started to build the tension between Nikki Cross and Asuka, who I thought had potential to put on a great singles match, which they eventually did. As so far, which I can see that possibly changing if Ember Moon and Asuka have a great match tomorrow night at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. But so far, my women's match of the year is the last women's standing match between Asuka and Nikki Cross. And I think that, again, this match, it was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was definitely one of the weaker matches on the card. But I think personally that that was one of the better non-NXT TakeOver feuds I have seen, just a singles feud between these two. And this was a match that got started. So that's why my number 10 is the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship between Asuka, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, and Nikki Cross at NXT TakeOver San Antonio. My number 9 is actually a tag team match, a women's tag team match from NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. And it's going to have the same meaning as another match that's going to be on this list. But the match between Charlotte and Bayley versus Emma and Dana Brooke was one of the first NXT women's matches. Actually, probably the first NXT women's match I ever witnessed watching. And it definitely woke me up saying, whoa, there is a future here in WWE for the women's division, because I saw all the talents, and also the only person I knew was Emma because when she was up on the roster briefly before she went back down to NXT, she was up there, her whole going with Santino Marella. I wasn't digging it, and then they put it on NXT. This is at the beginning of probably her Evil Emma run, and I saw that I'm like, gee, this girl does have talent. She's not a complete joke. And it was a match that allowed me to be introduced to four future big superstars for NXT and for our main roster. Well, a few of them aren't really doing too good right now on the main roster. Charlotte's just hanging around on SmackDown right now, but she had a great run on Raw. Bayley is probably the champion. She's not really been that booking. Emma hasn't really got much of a chance. Got the injury, the Emelina, and there's Dana Brooke, who was brought way too early, needs to go back down to NXT. But overall, I still thought like this was a match that really introduced me, showing that there is hope for the women's division. At the time, that was the awful Divas division with Nikki Bella's Divas title run. So like this match like got me caught my attention for NXT women as I saw with a future hope for the women's division. So that is my number 9, Charlotte and Bayley versus Emma and Dana Brooke at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. Number 8 was a match that Robbie actually mentioned on his list. I didn't really want to go with this match because of how their matches are now, but a match that was really good that a lot of people definitely could not remember because of how many times they've done on the main roster and how flat it is up here was Bayley and Nia Jax at NXT Takeover London. This is one of the first time. This was the first time that Nia Jax got an NXT Women's Championship shot, and this was Bayley's biggest test probably so far as NXT Women's Champion, taking on Nia Jax. I believe. Trying to think. I think Bayley defended her NXT title against Sasha, Nia. She had a match against Carmella. I remember that, and Asuka, I guess. But they were building up Nia Jax as this unstoppable monster, but someone that you didn't want to see be NXT Women's Champion. So people with how great Bayley was being written at the time, she had this big obstacle. It was like a David and Goliath match, except women's edition. So it was a fresh match that made Bayley look, as like a strong underdog. As she did win by I think she choked out Nia with that guillotine. So I mean, it wasn't really one of Bayley's best matches, but one of the better matches she had, and probably the best match that her and Nia has ever had. Because they've been played how many times on the Raw roster? Because again, everybody forgets about this match also because of how flat those matches are, and these matches are so overdone. But this was probably their best one. So I got to give the NXT Women's Championship match at NXT TakeOver London between Bayley and Nia Jax my number 8. My number 7 just came at last TakeOver. It's a match that started at NXT TakeOver Chicago that I think is definitely very underrated because it's really bringing out the new developed character of a new top babyface on NXT, and that's Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. First, I thought I was like, we're already just throwing this match on the card just to just gives Eric Young another chance to be on the card, and for Roderick Strong to get on the card as well. But this is around the time where they started showing those getting to know Roderick Strong vignettes or whatever it was. We got to know him, know what he's really here for. What business does he mean? That he's there for his family, and he's there to make an impact. So this was a good way to help us get to continue to Roderick Strong better. And I like this match how Roderick showed that he's no slouch. Like he's not going to just come out there when it's 3-on-1 or whatnot. And he came out like a different part of the arena and attacked the members of Sanity before getting into the ring with Eric Young. He had to overcome the odds again several times, but Roddy was able to get around there and showed that this guy has talent and he is a future NXT champion. So definitely a very underrated match. I mean, NXT Takeover Chicago ended up being so far my pay-per-view of the year, but definitely one of the matches that would be overlooked when you think about NXT Takeover Chicago. When you think about NXT Takeover Chicago, you're thinking about Hideo Itami and Bobby Roode. Most importantly, the main event tag team championship ladder match between DIY and AOP, because this is the night that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano split up after Ciampa turned on him. So I really think that this match definitely overlooked, and it deserves to be considered a hidden gem. That's why my number 7 is Roderick Strong versus Eric Young at NXT TakeOver Chicago. My number 6 is actually a tag team match. It was not for the NXT Tag Team Championships, but it was for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals last year at NXT TakeOver Toronto. And that is AOP versus TM61. I believe this was AOP's first pay-per-view match. I don't think they were on the card for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. I know they debuted and after the tag team match between American Alpha and Authors of Pain American Alpha and the Revival at NXT Takeover at the end. They had like a little feud with American Alpha before they moved on to the main roster. And then they did somewhat decent with them, but then they didn't get serious about them until the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, where they won after beating a TM61. And as I just keep saying, what's made AOP such a good tag team is not that they're big, not that they're strong, not that they're deadly, but the opponents that they work with, they bring the best out of them. DIY, the Revival, probably Sanity this weekend. Not so much Heavy Machinery yet, but Heavy Machinery, as it shows that they still have a little bit of work to do. But even this match with TM61, like it showed that everybody throws their best shots at AOP, but they're still able to overcome, making them look legit. And this is one of those first matches that it happened. I mean, the best, of course, was the triple threat match at NXT Takeover Orlando with AOP, Revival, and DIY. So this was just the start of that with the going into the right direction with AOP. So that's why my number 6 on my top 10 list is AOP versus TM61, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals at NXT TakeOver Toronto. My number 5 is also a repeat from Robbie's list, because I held it a little bit higher. That is, I think, I can't remember, but that is another match from NXT TakeOver London. And it goes back to me talking earlier about women who show that they can really wrestle, and someone who is, this is probably this lady's best shot match she's had to date, in my honest opinion. She's on the main roster right now. We just talked about her before. I think she's going to SmackDown Live if they do a post on Superstar Shakeup, and that is Emma and Asuka. One of the first singles matches I've seen of Emma on NXT was her match against Asuka, because before then, the only was the shoot, I forgot. Oh, it was that tag team match with Sasha and Bayley versus Dana Brooke and Emma. But this is the first time I've ever seen Emma as a heel in a singles match against the upcoming comer at the time, Asuka. And again, like, despite, Asuka, this was Asuka's match to win, Emma looked good. It showed that Emma had a chance to win in this match. Emma can be one of the most dominating women in a division if you let her do it. He's not doing that right now. Hashtag give Emma a chance. But this match was just really good. I think it was the kickoff match, actually, the match that started NXT TakeOver London. And yeah, it just showed the future for Asuka, and it also gave Emma, showed that Emma can actually do something. I mean, I didn't see Asuka's match against Dana Brooke at NXT TakeOver Respect, but I heard that one was good too. So it shows that these women have talent. You got to use them right on the main roster. So that's why my number 5 is Asuka versus Emma at NXT TakeOver London. Now, number 4 is a match that could be in between, like a hidden gem and maybe not. But in my honest opinion, I put this as a hidden gem, and I think Robbie actually had this as number 10 on his list. And I honestly think, this match is definitely a great main event. But compared to matches like Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn, or the tag match with DIY, and some of the other main events we've gotten, this match is definitely one match that's very underrated and gets overlooked. But that was the main event of the first ever NXT TakeOver that I attended live in Brooklyn, New York. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1. I'm not talking about Sasha and Bayley. That's not a hidden gem at all. I'm talking about Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens in a ladder match for the NXT Championship. This was a really great match, and this was, the first time we got to see Finn Balor defend the title live, I believe, on NXT. Because the first time when he defended it, it was when he won it, it was in Japan, that Beast of the East that Beast of the East tour in Japan, which that was supposed to be Hideo Itami's moment, but ended up being Kevin Owens' moment. And this was a really good match. So this was Kevin Owens' final match in NXT since he was moved to the main roster. And then, of course, this is again the start, the beginning push of Finn Balor's 292-day title run with the NXT Championship as well. So another overlooked main event: Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens in a ladder match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1. Number 3 is a match that I don't think I don't think Robbie mentioned this one, but this was also one of the first NXT matches I ever watched. It was on NXT Takeover Unstoppable, and it was #1 contenders match. And it was what introduced me to two guys that one is having a good future so far, the other one not so much. Well, he's starting to with his cases with the Fashion Files. I'm talking about Finn Balor and Tyler Breeze in the #1 contenders match at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. This is a match where I was first introduced to Tyler Breeze and Finn Balor as well. A very good match, and again, probably could have been Hideo Itami's moment, but this was also around the time where Hideo Itami had just got injured with a shoulder injury. But this was a good match that showcased really good, at the time, probably more so mid-card talent, but it helped elevate Finn Balor up to the main event scene as well. And I really enjoyed this match first time I saw it. So that's why that's my number 3. Finn Balor versus Tyler Breeze in a #1 contenders match for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable. Now, my numbers 1 and 2, though, are matches that Robbie did mention. But I had to keep these on my list because I definitely agree with those, especially my number 1. My number 2 is a match that took place at probably the weakest takeover I've watched. Well, it's either NXT TakeOver the End or NXT TakeOver San Antonio were probably the weakest pay-per-views NXT TakeOvers I've seen, but they were still great shows. The first one was from NXT TakeOver the End, and that was a match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Austin Aries. This match is very overlooked, again, mainly because of the pay-per-view. It's not one of the more well-known NXT takeovers, but also I chose this match because not only did it help, continue to elevate Shinsuke Nakamura as, the superstar that he is, the King of Strong style, but if he did not suffer that broken orbital eye socket or whatever heck it's called, it could have been a better start of a better heel run for Austin Aries as well, because Austin Aries came in NXT first. He had his match against Baron Corbin at NXT TakeOver Dallas. Probably the weakest match on the card, but still it was a great match. And then Nakamura came in that same night and battled Sami Zayn in his debut and put on probably one of the best matches of the year. But then, of course, Aries was getting a great reaction, but then it seemed like Nakamura was more taking over spotlight. And this was more of a face-on-face match, but it was starting to transition Austin Aries into that heel role. And I felt that if Austin Aries didn't get hurt, he would have had a great heel run in NXT, no doubt about it. He had the only other match he had in NXT at a TakeOver was his match against No Way Jose at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, which it was a good match. It got Jose some time on the card, and it also, was able to help continue to elevate Austin Aries as a heel. And it was going to lead to a feud between him and Hideo Itami at NXT TakeOver Toronto, but they both got hurt. They moved Aries to the main roster when 205 Live came out as a broadcast guy on broadcasting. And then he eventually made his debut after attacking Neville during an interview. And then he had a good series 3 matches against Neville, but then he got released. It's being limited just the cruiserweight division. And now he's gone. So it's unfortunate. I was hoping for a good run out of Austin Aries, but this was probably Aries' best match in WWE or the NXT brand, both since he was on the product. And again, it helped elevate Shinsuke on where it pretty much showed who was going to be the one that was going to excel. Whoever won this match was going to be excelling to that main event scene by NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. And it was obviously Shinsuke Nakamura and Austin Aries getting lost in the shuffle. So good character development. Great match here by Nakamura and Austin Aries at NXT TakeOver The End. Which, again, we were worried whenever this was announced that it was being called NXT TakeOver The End. We were worried this was going to be the end of NXT, but it was the end of a generation and the start of a new generation for the NXT universe. And my number 1 is actually the same number 1 that Robbie had. And going back to what I said earlier of a tag match that took place at this pay-per-view, again, this is the first NXT TakeOver I ever watched. But this match especially also showed even more hope for me in the women's division. That was a match between Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship. A great match that, a lot of people, when you think a women's matches in NXT, you're thinking about probably in the Charlotte's title run. I think Charlotte and Bayley had a match at a previous takeover for the championship. I think I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. But you think about Asuka and the job she's done with the NXT Women's Championship. You think about Bayley's run. You think of Sasha's run, but when you think of Sasha, you think of her and Bayley's feud. You forget about the great match though that Sasha and Becky put on at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. It was not just the tag match earlier show, the hope for the future for the women's division, but this match as well. Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. So, but that is my list. Again, to go over my list again, I have Asuka versus Peyton Royce versus Billie Kay versus Nikki Cross in the Fatal 4 for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Takeover San Antonio. My number 9 is Charlotte and Bayley versus Emma and Dana Brooke at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. Bayley versus Nia Jax for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Takeover London. Roderick Strong versus Eric Young at NXT Takeover Chicago. AOP versus TM61 for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals at NXT Takeover Toronto. Asuka versus Emma at NXT Takeover London. Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens in a ladder match for the NXT Championship at NXT Takeover Brooklyn 1. Finn Balor versus Tyler Breeze in a number one contenders match for the NXT Championship at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Austin Aries at NXT Takeover The End. And my number 1 is Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Takeover Unstoppable. So that is my list, guys, of the top 10 NXT Takeover Hidden Gems. What is your list for your Hidden Gems for NXT Takeovers? Again, I only did mine from NXT Takeover Unstoppable on, since that's the only pay-per-views that I've seen. But, if you want to share your list with me as well, go right ahead. Again, matches that you could consider, not well-known, but very good matches that you will not forget. I mean, I could say other few matches like Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger at NXT Takeover Toronto was one on the list. But the reason why I did put that one on the list is because, to me, that was one of the headline matches because it was 2 Canadians going at it in Toronto. So that was a match that people are definitely going to remember between those two. And it's one of probably Ty Dillinger's best match in NXT, in my opinion. But yeah, so what is your pick for your picks for NXT Takeover top 10 hidden gems as a response to Robbie1Kenobi's video? Check out his video as well. The link is in the description as well as his link to my other Horseman Brothers channels, which is Robbie's, Dan Geiz's, and Gene from BSP Wrestling's. Links to their channels left down below as well. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button for more content to come on my channel. Be sure to check out all the other videos I've done this week preparing for SummerSlam and my Raw, SmackDown, NXT reviews, top 10 topics. The video response did yesterday for John Cena's top 5 opponents on the Raw brand, and for the one more match video I did responding to Dan and Robbie as well. So again, leave your thoughts down in the comment section as well on your list of top 10 NXT Takeover Hidden Gems, and stay tuned for more content on my channel. As probably over the weekend, I'll be doing an NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3 live review and SummerSlam live review, unless if I do one with my Horseman Brothers. So we'll see what happens. Again, thank you guys all for tuning in again. And with that, guys, I will see you all later. Have a great time this weekend watching the best in WWE, best party of the summer, SummerSlam, and NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3.